Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Art Classes My Way. Pardon for it being quite so dark in my room here. The next thing to be worked on is going to be my lighting. I got in, it's one of those, our new house is one of those 70s to 60s style houses where basically you flipped a switch and it turned on lamps around the room as opposed to actual lights. So yeah, that's fun. Whoever thought that was a good idea needs to be shot. But anyway, we're just going to try to go ahead and press on. Not everything's 100%, but I was requested to do, and I'm going to start working on the request that I have been given. I was requested to do a couple of, or at least one video. I'm going to do two. I'm going to do a very simple beginner's video on a ring, and then from there I'm going to do something that's a little bit more intermediate area. Since there's no soldering involved, I really can't really feel safe saying advanced. So kind of give you an idea of the beginnings of making rings and those kinds of things. Now, I personally don't make any rings unless somebody is requesting one. My reasoning for that is, if somebody falls in love with the style of a ring that you've made, and you've only made it for one size, well, you can see that there are many sizes that you can make, and well, that's a crap ton of inventory to be carting around with you. And it's the same thing. If you like repetition, I guess it's great, but it's the same thing over and over again, and you just about want to make a ring for just about every major size that there is out there, and you got half sizes, and I feel it's just a pain. And it's kind of one of those things where you're probably going to be able to sell more bracelets, because people pick up bracelets to go with this outfit or the other. Not often do people pick up a ring. Typically, at least me anyway, even though I am married, you can see no wedding ring because I am rough on jewelry. And my husband got me a beautiful ring, and within a couple of months I put a big chip in the garnet that was the centerpiece, and I feel super bad about it. So I just kind of have it in a place where I can look at it. Look, don't touch. So yeah, spending money on something like a ring, sometimes people don't they just don't feel comfortable, one, with doing that unless it's something super special like a wedding ring. And especially since I'm just doing these out of just metals, copper and so on, plated copper and whatnot, a lot of people don't see the value in the price that I would typically put on them. So what we have here is a ring sizer. So if somebody were to request a ring from you that you would have to custom make, and again, you got orders that you're going to have to fill, and keeping track of all that stuff, addresses and so on. This guy is basically where if you're out at a show, somebody requests something, that's too loose for whatever finger you want, so we'll go down. Let's try going down a couple sizes. Still too loose. And sometimes people know what ring size they wear, sometimes they do not. And it's getting closer for me. I know I wear someplace between an 8 and an 8.5. And this is where you will find the sizes. So actually I'm in here, I believe. My ring sizer is pretty old, so fairly loose. So probably somewhere between an 8 and a 7. Let's double check it, because I've not done this in a long time. Again, this one's an old one. This is something I got at an auction a long time ago, and it's probably even older than that still, because it was an estate auction. So let's try. It's pretty much in the general area. It's a little over 7, but there you have it. At least trying, using one of these to try to get the rough idea. Again, they are marked so that way you can write down what size you need to make. And then we can move on to the ring mandrel. Now this guy is, as you can very well guess, where you start sizing things. You shape it around this guy. So I would want to make this around here if I wanted to. So yay, pretty simple concept, it really is. It's the only, you can get these in wood, you can get these in metal. I recommend the metal because then you can use a hammer on it a little bit more often. It's probably filled with wood on the inside though, but again, this guy is super old as well. And yeah, there's not a whole lot to explain about him other than sometimes you can get a thing for the end of your table that's kind of a bench block combined into several things. Pardon my cat, apparently he's itchy. Where there will be a hole out to the side with a ring mandrel that comes out the side. I do have one of those, but it's over at the other end. I don't want to deal with it. So instead of worrying about sizes here, I'm going to use this to get the general shape that I want. This is going to be more of a free-form ring where, and I'm sure you've seen them, where you can bend them to reshape them into any size that you want. I see those being a little bit better. All I've done here is taken some scrap wire. Honestly, you don't want to get too big of a wire, especially if you're going to do some pretty elaborate things with your ring. And I mean elaborate, I mean going along these lines. You're going to want some of the smallest wire possible, and you're going to be ordering it from stores or online stores at that point. Very, very few actual craft stores and things like that are going to have the wire as small as what you may want to play with. Pop my neck, that feels better. So all I've done here is what I kind of call a corn weave, because it looks like little bits of corn going up. It's super simple, and I've done it in an alternate wire here so that way you can hopefully see it a little easier. This can be done up as much as you want, and if you haven't, if you have no idea how to do this weave, I did make a video on it, different weaves, so you can go and check that out as well, and then you can come back to the video and catch up with us. So, but you can do any kind of weave that you really want to do. It doesn't matter on that point. Now see, I'm going to put the end of this in the hollow of my neck here. Did a lot of this in our college class, and I'm just going to bend him, whoop, bend this around, because where I want the bottom to be is where I've done that cornrow weave. Alright, just flatten that down, and around we go. Make sure these guys stay down where I want them to be. Sliding off. Doing this all with my fingers. You could take a hammer, again, because mine's made out of metal, you could take a hammer, hammer it down, what have you. It's not too terribly difficult of a thing. And see, we can see that's a little bit off, so I will get the hammer out. You are in which drawer? Not that drawer, that drawer. There we are. Just a simple hammer. Really doesn't matter what kind of a hammer you use so much. See, that looks a lot better. It's not nearly as sharp as it was. Do it a little higher up. Fingers and trying to shape him around. And if I want him smaller, just sliding down, putting my thumb back here so that way I won't get that peak again, because that's where the wire is going to want to form itself again, since it already did that once there. It's going to want to do that. So we'll go back down to around here. Sliding these off, probably a bad idea to have gone ahead and done those. And there we have it. So we have the start of a ring going. get these really cool spiraling effects. And again, I mean, you could make this to where, you know, this is the adjustable area. I'm wanting to make it more on the top, and I can always make it smaller after I'm done, as long as we got the round shape now and close to the size that we want at this point in time. We'll be plenty good. Now I got a couple of tails here I'm going to go ahead and take care of. So nippers and beep and beep. Yep. Everything's all nice and snug. Okay. Put my hammer away because I can do that now. Space is a little smaller than it was before. Don't have a whole countertop anymore, and trust me, you don't want me to do it on my new countertops. They are ugly. Alright, so now from here we can do a whole host of things, simple or complicated, but with a wire as big as what I've used, if you want to do something more complex, then I would suggest doing something super simple. And, well, with a wire this big anyway, with a ring idea in mind, I would still do something pretty simple with this going on, because this is a big wire. It's very, eye-catching's not the word I want to use, but it is already pretty attention-getting itself without adding anything to it. And my mom loves great big huge rings, not me so much, unless it's like a full finger thing and it looks really cool and kind of, you know, medieval, goth, whatever you want to call it, that style, metal, then I'm all for it. But it's not so much about the stone for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my round nose and I'm going to use my smallest on the end there, and I'm going to just curl these guys. And yep. And just make a P, the letter P. And of course my last video was all about poops. Now we're going to make this all about P. Alright, and the same for that guy. Actually, since this is so close to being the same length as this guy now, I think I'm going to shorten both of those because I want it to have a kind of a stair-steppy effect. And you. So I'll just pull out a little and snip. And you pull you away. And snip. There. A little bit more stair-steppy. Out. There. And just continuing with making the letter P. Now, because this guy is bigger than these two, in order to make him still go along here, if I try to make him smaller by just using these, then he's going to end up being taller, which I still want that nice stair-step effect. So I'm going to just go ahead and just cut a little bit out. It's better to cut a small amount rather than a large amount. You can always take off, you can never put back on, unless you take the whole wire out. All right, and There, that looks a little better. And same with this guy here. There, that's a little better. And make sure you're all scooted back. And I can take this wire and go ahead and keep wrapping around if I want to, although I should probably get that a little snugger if that's going to be my plan. So that way he can't unravel himself any. We don't want that. And this is kind of show you a little bit why you want to use as small a wire as possible. If you end up putting things like this into your piece, you can kind of see where, because of how big this is in relation to how tight that curl is, I'm never going to be able to fully fill in with wire without filling in the circle part, all those little areas. So the smaller the wire you can find, overall, the more delicate your piece will feel and in scale as well. Obviously the scales, the more obvious part of it. So here that. And then we can always go hog wild with any kind of design going this direction, because it's more or less how I've designed this, where it's just this simple cornrow on the bottom, but you want at least going down the sides to pretty much match what you're going to see on the top, because you know, people show off like this, like, oh yeah, they don't typically show off like that. So you can just, it's a simple weave that holds all the wires to be together in the beginning, works most marvelously. And now I can do whatever I want with over here and add some sliding off again, whatever. All right. Now I could go ahead and mirror what's on top here, or I can completely change my design at this point. And I think I shall, to add more interest, because it's awful, you know, I mean, it's nice, simple little thing that I've done so far, but relatively kind of boring at the moment. Oh, moved around too much, that fell off. That's okay, we'll deal with it later. So, just coming in here, kind of curling it up, but I want it to be a little bit more upright, a little bit more like that. Yeah. A little bit bigger with my curls, although this one just got a little too silly on me. Just undo it just a tiny bit, come back in here. Yeah, I'll mess with him later, I suppose. That's what he wants. And then I want to come in here, I'm going to slide down a little bit, so that way, because this curl has gotten so big, I'm going to try to make this guy intentionally slightly bigger than that guy. About there, and grab it in the right place. There. And curl. And if you don't know how to do curls, again, I do have another video showing you how to do this kind of a thing. And you know what? Actually, here's a thought. Come on, everybody slide back down. All right. And if you guys can hear, I'm going to try to get that edited out, but if you can hear whatever it is my husband's watching in the background, I do apologize. He does not realize how loud that is. Just kind of bending a little, and I think I want to bend this guy kind of same. That feels smaller than this guy, so we can also fix that. Back in here, open, and grab it in a bigger end and roll. Put this back on my ring mandrel. Again, putting this against my chest bone here. Overall, it's starting to look like what I want it to look like. I'm just using the flat part here to kind of smoosh, make lay down a little bit. That way it feels like it's still following a round shape. There we are. I think I want that guy to still be bigger yet. Or, actually, probably what really needs to be done is just clip that guy, because if I make him any bigger, he's going to be shorter still, and that's just kind of going to ruin the look. So just give that a little clip, and we'll just redo you instead. And then I'm going to come in just behind that P, gonna grab it back here and tilt him just a tiny bit to mirror this one a little more. And just tilt it. There we go. So I just came in here because he was more or less at an angle, which I didn't want him to be at. I went ahead and grabbed him and just made him lay down on top of that. And I've got one on one side, one on the other side here, and I'm just going to work on this kind of bend that I got going on for the fun of it. I want it to be exaggerated, but not too much. It's like that perfect, it's kind of like Art Nouveau, getting that perfect arc that feels just right. It's not too much, not too little. Just playing around with it. And we could even play with this, bring this guy back into here a little bit. That could be fun. Let's take a look at that. So I'm grabbing him from the back and just tilt. And I want to grab a hold of the next guy in line and just tilt a little bit. Tilt him a little more. And tilt. Yeah, that's feeling kind of fun. A little Cthulhu-y and octopus. Like, and slide all you guys down. Now from here, I can choose to go ahead and continue any kind of weave I want, or you can even just leave it just something super simple like this, or you can even use this as the foundation for a bigger piece. And again, a foundation, if this is going to be your foundation, you are not going to want to use the same sized wires, and I will show you how to do that in the next video. This can be a standalone piece, and you can go whatever direction you really want to go with this. It's entirely up to you how you want to end your pieces. If you want to make all the curls stand up, you know, entirely up to you. This is just one way of going about doing it. I'm trying to kind of kill two birds with one stone here by making something I can still use as a foundation, as well as something that seems like it could be a standalone on its own. So, alright, well, I hope you guys like the video, and as you can see, you can still size him and shape him and so on. Obviously, if you shape him too much, I mean, you can get within basically 2-3 sizes with this guy, and that includes all the half sizes in between. I mean, whole sizes. But you can resize it quite a bit and be able to cover your bases pretty much, but you will change the overall shape and design of your curls and how they lay with each other and how they work with each other. So you might even have a little bit of tweaking to do after you size it for your client. So something to keep in mind as you go. Just just playing around. I will never be satisfied. And it is basically, you are limited to your own imagination. So, alright. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Again, I will be working on lighting in here. So everything's not 100% back, but at least I found all my tools. That's a good thing, right? So, everybody, please have a wonderful day and a great time, and thanks for being all of you. Bye!